Sonic Riders, the superior racing formula.
You need to leave!
Okay, now that I've said some shocking hyperbole to get your attention and, mayhaps, ignite a rage within your Nintendo-loving heart, let me express my opinion in many, many words. Mario and Sonic have always had a rivalry. Sonic's very conception was to compete with the plumber, and if we go back and look at advertising, Sega wears their superiority like a badge of honor.
Why can't it be more like that nice boy Mario? Oh! Little brat!
For a time, Sonic had successfully got his own share of the market that Nintendo held so much of prior. This isn't a history lesson about the two's rivalry or Sega's eventual downfall, but I bring it up for a purpose. The newest Sonic Racing game about to release at the time of writing is Sonic Racing Crossworlds. For a while now, Sonic and friends have been racing around in cars, much like Mario did karts. I've not played much of the Sonic Racing series, but it's always rubbed me the wrong way how Sonic Riders was their own, completely unique formula that got ditched like an unwanted baby in a gas station dumpster. Before anyone jumps to any conclusions, let me make it clear. I am not and will not say that Sonic Riders is a superior game to any of the Sonic Kart Racer titles fundamentally. I am also not saying that Mario Kart is worse than Sonic Kart or Riders. In truth, they're all very different games that, while comparable on a surface level, pay tribute to two completely different game mascots with different controls, tracks, rules, etc., etc. It's completely valid to like one game over another, but to say one is objectively better than the other is a nigh impossible thing to prove. For me, your local WeebBear who is too poor to afford the newest shiny Sonic or Mario game. I've always loved what Sonic Riders brought to the table. The sense of cool getting to ride on a hoverboard, the trick system where you chain multiple tricks together to refuel, and the fuel system itself. What sets Sonic Riders apart from almost any other racing game on the market is the fact your vehicle of choice has fuel to manage. I'm about to hop right into the gameplay specifics in great detail, so before we get started with that, would you please subscribe? Without further ado, let's kick things off into high gear right away. You can accelerate, brake, and drift like one could expect in any racing game. They all have their own quirks that make them unique, especially the drift and how it interacts with the fuel system. Going forward is something you'll do automatically, so no need to hold an accelerate button. This feature alone makes the game way more unwieldy to brand new players than it needs to be. Think about it. You get no chance to reorient yourself before driving off if you bump into something. You can brake, sure, but there's a lack of control present between being able to let off the gas to slow down and automatically going forward. A higher difficulty floor than average doesn't make a game inherently bad, so let's continue. Braking is done by holding one of the triggers, but if you do it while moving fast enough and holding a direction left or right, you start drifting. Depending on your controller input, you can take the turn wider or tighter, much like how one does in Mario Kart. While doing so, your fuel gauge rapidly drops, so don't go drifting everywhere all willy-nilly. The fuel gauge in question is here on the lower right, and it shows you a couple things. Your speed, which isn't all too useful other than making you feel fast, and a blue gauge that empties over time as you race. When you do a fuel-intensive action, such as drifting, you will see an orange part of the gauge that depletes alongside the blue. This gives you an idea of how much fuel you're consuming with each action you take. You might have noticed that the gauge only goes half up the UI element, and that's where the leveling system comes into play. In the upper left, you're able to see your ring count, as well as a cap and a level. You can level up during the race by collecting rings, expectedly. 30 rings will get you to level 2, and 60 to level 3. Each level up boosts your overall stats, represented by these stars being added along with the level up jingle. Most important to leveling up, your fuel gauge becomes larger.
That's quite big.
Leveling up also provides you an instant refill to full, so rings are one of your best friends in this game. You want to be level 3 at all times preferably, but it's not as easy as just collecting them. Falling off of the stage resets your ring count back to 0, and other racers can whack your rings from you too. Boosting is something every racer can do, consuming a large portion of their boost gauge to, well, boost forward for a time. While boosting, if they come into contact with another racer, they will smack them silly with a variety of goofy animations. Honestly, seeing all the different ways characters cartoonishly bash each other, pure joy to my inner child. Having an on-demand boost opens up a lot of options for the player, but the fuel gauge keeps endless boosting in check. You might be wondering, how do you refill the boost gauge besides leveling up? I'm so glad you asked. Tricks, as mentioned before, are your primary way of refilling your gauge. By holding down the jump button before a ramp and then releasing it at the right time and at the right speed, you'll be able to flip off the ramp all sorts of ways. Up, down, left, right, in any order you want. Depending on the quality of your jump, which is affected by your charge when you release the button, and your speed, you'll be able to perform more tricks while in the air. You'll know if you got the best possible jump you could if your character says some quip afterwards, like so.
Nice.
Throughout the levels are multiple different paths forward. Many a time, accessing these alternate, faster paths require you to hit your jump just right. Tricking forwards will send you further, allowing you to cross larger gaps. Meanwhile, tricking backwards gives you extra height, allowing you to fly up farther to higher paths. Left and right expectedly reorient you a little bit, and here's where some mastery comes in. If you hold one direction and do your tricks, you'll do 3 at best before hitting the ground. However, if you alternate between up or down with left or right, you'll be able to perform a lot more. The best players have mastered a strategy where they sort of roll the control stick and go through up, left, down, right, in that order. I'm not the best player though, so you're not going to see that in this footage. Sorry. If you land while you're not in a neutral position, you will fail your trick, lose most of your speed, and get very little air. Great tricks, on the other hand, will give you a boost of speed when you land. Mastering tricks in Sonic Riders is your key to success. There are more ways to fill your air up besides stylish tricks, however. Around the tracks, you will notice these monitors that say speed, fly, and power. These indicate a shortcut of a certain character type is present. All characters are divided into these 3 categories. Speed characters have the ability to hop onto rails scattered throughout the track. All rails start with a blue light and end with a red one. Simple stuff. Jumping on them is as easy as jumping, then holding the button until you connect with the rail. Don't be like me here for half of the game, just missing them over and over because I wasn't holding the button in order to actually go on the rail. While riding them, you regain air at a rapid rate, so they're great to hitch a ride on if you're low on air. Flying types have these ramps that allow them to get some air. Literally, they will steadily lose speed as they fly, but going through these accelerator hoops allows them to keep the pace and regain their air. These are really broken if you get creative with them, allowing you to skip whole sections of the map if you're able to think outside the box and are willing to take that risk. Power types are the simplest by far. Many hazards on the stage now act as a refuel for you, because power types will smack it out of their way. Hitting multiple in a row will create a link, which also goes for the other 2 types shortcuts as well. This progressively gives you more and more air the more obstacles you link together. Doesn't seem too hard, right? Each shortcut has these floating monitors that make it clear they're there. Well, hold on a sec. At the pace you move at, they're pretty easy to miss. Sometimes they're not even actually any faster, so it's up to your observation skills to determine what you need more in the current moment. I think that covers all the basics of racing. Oh, nope, forgot about Sonic Riders' ghetto power-ups. These capsules along the track have random power-ups inside, ranging from air to rings, speed-ups, invincibility, and even the rare speed down. Yep. No idea why there's a ball and chain in there. These do not function like items that allow you to interact with the other racers, so don't worry about getting Mario Karted here. When you complete the hero's storyline, you'll unlock a couple characters and a new gear type, skates. Skates don't change how you race besides some statistics, and after completing another storyline, you'll unlock bikes. Skates use less fuel, but don't go as fast, while bikes use more fuel and go faster. This is something I only learned now after doing research. I always just thought Shadow's skates were super cool, so whenever I played as him, I was happy to use the skates. I tended to use the default gears for all of the characters, which all share the same stats. There are alternative ones you can buy from the Chowran black market with rings that you earn from racing, but some of them can be really wacky and entirely change how you race. As a few examples, some of them allow any character to take fly shortcuts, or there's skates that allow you to boost every 2 seconds without limit. They're fun to experiment with for sure, but there's nothing wrong with going default every race. I think that just about covers most of the basics. Not everything, but most of what's important right now. What do you say we hit the road and see what this game's story is going on? Yeah, this is a racing game with a whole story mode. Bring it on. We open up with Team Sonic exploring a brand new locale, known as Future City. Tails indicates they're tracking something, but their signal is being jammed. Not even a second later, 3 mysterious new characters shatter a building's window on boards known as Extreme Gear. The team puts 2 and 2 together and pursues the thieves that have the emerald Sonic and company were just seeking. The police, which are very rarely seen in the Sonic universe, are in hot pursuit of these criminals. Sonic, jumps in front of them and puts his arms out. Did he really think that would work? Predictably, they glide right past him without a care. Knuckles does what Sonic should've, knocking one of the thieves on their behind to stop their escape. Tails notices an insignia on the discarded board, and Sonic's thrill-seeking self uses said board to pursue them. Very in character for Sonic to not take things too seriously, even when there's an emerald involved. How many times has Sonic gathered up all the emeralds? It probably is just another Tuesday for him. He gets the hang of the board rather quickly, catching up to the green bird leading the pack of thieves in this now impromptu race. Sonic cuts ahead after definitely not Sonic's VA compliments him.
Oh, not bad.
However, when Sonic looks back, there's no one behind him. Huh? The Hawk then dives from above before Sonic can react, knocking him off of his board and securing their escape, but not before delivering one final quip.
So, you're supposed to be the fastest thing alive?
New rivalry established. Let's take a closer look at these designs, shall we? All of the 2D artwork in this game has stylized shading, as you can see. Sketchy lines where the sun don't shine. Sonic's design hasn't changed all that much, only adding a nifty pair of shades with a green tint to match his eyes. What's more interesting here is Jet's design contrasted with Sonic's. Take a look. Their poses are very similar, but with the arms switched around. If I were to black both of them out, we'd see that they share many aspects of their silhouette. Jet was designed from the beginning to be a foil to Sonic, and while I'm no expert on character design, I know it's a great way to build compelling characters. Both characters have a cocky ego, but the presence of additional red in Jet's palette, along with some accompanying darker green shades, clue us in further that he's no hero. If we bring Shadow in here, we can see how Shadow is a very on-the-nose dark reflection of Sonic. Jet, on the other hand, is a lot more subtle, and as we come to know him, what are the Babylon Rogues known for? Their greed. What color is associated with greed? Green. You can infer a lot about a character by just looking at them, and if you're looking to build your own original characters, but don't know where to start, here's my one off-topic tip for you. Use your character's background and personality to design their look. If you have a character who's often moping about, duller, grayer colors convey that at a glance. If you have a character who's dangerous or lethal, lots of sharp edges in the design convey that without a word of their edgy backstory. Be obvious and be bold. It doesn't have to be complicated. Mad character can be red and regularly have a furrowed brow. A soft, innocent character can be rounder shapes and pastel colors. Mysterious characters should have accessories that help them disguise their appearance, etc., etc. This isn't how to design a character hour, but I wanted to pay my respect to Jet's strong design as another inverted twist of Sonic. The contrast is even down to their eyes being reflections of one another, for crying out loud. It's so obvious and I love it. Are you ready for a second helping of story? Okay, look at how expressive everyone is here. Modern day Sonic isn't particularly expressive, and it's a damn shame. This game frequently shows Sonic and friends as people with emotions that they actually experience. Look at Sonic's pupils dilating in surprise. Anyway, Eggman announces that he's hosting a tournament called the EX World Grand Prix.
Not just a race, but a special race to see who's the fastest.
Don't all races work like that? Eggman's IQ of 300 must have come from one of those Facebook IQ quizzes that are super valid and totally not BS. The entry fee is a Chaos Emerald, and that should be setting off alarm bells in everyone's head. Before signing off, Eggman shows the faces of the criminals on public television for not only Sonic to recognize, but also the police force that is 100% after them after having stolen a Chaos Emerald. What? The police have no involvement with the plot after that point? Oh, let me just... Don't mind that. We've got our first race in Metal City on our hands. The game generously only asks that you place in the top 3, which I recall Kid Me having issues with. Oh, would you look at that? Sonic Heroes. I hope you're ready for a hefty explanation on the start line of all things. Before the start of every single race, you have 5 seconds to position yourself to begin. In front of us lies an electrical gate that will not hesitate to zap any racer who comes a little too close. This is similar to revving up in Mario Kart, but significantly more complicated at first. Pro tip for all Sonic Riders gamers: walk back until around 2.6 on the clock, then run forward to get a decent starting time. All the maps have the same starting distance between you and the gate, so never again run into the arms of an electric bath. As the game's first level, we open on a trick ramp after a short straightaway. There is an upper path and lower path, with the upper path accessible by tricking forwards, as I mentioned before. Up here, there's a 100 ring box that I tragically miss. Each level has one that will not respawn after being grabbed, so if you grab them and then lose the rings, tough luck. As you can see, the roads are wide and not particularly windy. A short trip through some tunnels has us crossing by some fast-flying traffic. Imagine you're just headed off to work, and then the blue blur's cheeks splat on your windshield. Then again, Eggman organized this, so perhaps he's seeing if he can't take out some of the competition. You sly dog, you. This turn is the first that will really test your ability to drift. Taking it poorly will lead to potentially mucking up your entire race. The inability to control how you accelerate means you will flounder about until you get back on track. You can brake with no directional input and holding R1, but it's not the same as pushing an accelerate button. Here's another ramp that leads to a shortcut. Charge up your jump and flip back to get the air you need to cut out the lengthy lower part. The main speed shortcut is taken off of this ramp, and if I had remembered at this point to hold the jump button, I'd have gotten some rail time. I think it might end up being slower than boosting anyways, so no biggie. One failed trick, and I completely curb my speed. I can't boost again without putting myself at almost empty, but I've got to if I don't want to lose first place. I wasn't kidding when I said fuel management is the most important skill to succeed with this game. Shortly after, I hit the pits that act as a last resort to refuel if you've mucked up while racing. Hit a button to leave it once you feel like you've gotten enough fuel. Our opponents are these green robots of Eggmans, and expect to see them a lot. There are only 7 Chaos Emeralds, and they're not pulling a Sonic the Fighters and randomly creating new emeralds just so we can have more of the Sonic cast here. It definitely de-escalates that sense of competition, however, when all your opponents are faceless nobodies. Oh well. After winning, we catch up to our heroes walking along a bridge at Splash Canyon, debating what Eggman's game is here. Amy sprints in with her new racing fit, and look at that face Sonic gives her. That's cold, Sonic. Amy then continues her pushy shtick that started with heroes in this era.
Ugh.
The 8-year-old then proceeds to do his role as the exposition guy, informing us what that mark on Storm's board was. That mark is the symbol of the Babylon Rogues, a group of robbers that once lived upon a floating island known as the Babylon Garden. I wonder if the Babylon Rogues have their own devious raccoonus. Apparently, the Babylon Rogues stole so much that the gods got pissed and cast their island down into the earth, like the bank putting a foreclosure on your home, but more extreme. Rumors say that their island still contains their legendary treasure, trapped beneath the earth to this day. Then, Knuckles asks a question some of us may have been wondering.
Still, how can a plank like that just float?
That's easy to explain. According to the Cutter-Joukowski lift theorem, the control surface flow is balanced balanced by the inverse kinetics of the...
Stop!
Another enjoyable cartoony expression. This game is filled to the brim with expressive moments like this. Wave the Swallow enters the scene with a mocking laugh before taking an interest in Sonic's hoverboard. Cue more mocking laughter. Wave's mocking causes Knuckles to tremble with rage. The whole squad is pissed on behalf of Tails, and you know, bashing an 8-year-old's perfectly functional work would make me consider knocking a beacon too.
Yeah, how can she just walk in and diss Tails?
I know, and tinkering's all he's really good at, too.
What the hell, man? Tails is naturally seething with rage, and I don't think we've seen him make an expression close to this since this game. Have I made my case for why one of this game's best points are their expressions? Splash Canyon is the second race in the story, and we play through it as Tails. This level is known for its rapid flowing streams and accompanying water mills to take advantage of them. The first jump is another long one if you want the shortcut, and there's also a flying path to the left as another shortcut. All paths convene on this rushing water, which prompts you to spin the stick to refuel your air. Every level has these, and your speed dictates how much air you get back, as well as the speed you move through the obstacle. When it comes to flying, it's usually enough to let the rings send you between them, but if you want to control it, pushing up or down will let you control your elevation. Up sends you down, and down sends you up. I remember struggling to reverse that association in my head, and I still get it mixed up, even to this day. Down will always be down to me, and up will always be up. The final straightaway starts with a cave full of crystals power types can smash through for air, but are an obstacle to everyone else. High jumping off the ramp lets you taste the rainbow. It's another simple, uncomplicated level that I have a distinct memory of as a kid that I want to share. For some reason, I set this stage to 99 laps, and I recall playing it for something like 30 minutes. Afterwards, I unlocked the green or red Robo, can't remember which, and thought, oh, you have to complete a 99 lap race to unlock them. I'm so smart. They're time-based unlocks. It's just that 99 laps adds a lot of time to that clock. Duh. 2 tracks down, 4 to go. We follow Knuckles as he bumps into Storm the Albatross, and they get straight to beefing. Don't forget, Knuckles did give Storm a 1-2 punch in the intro. Slapstick ensues, with both meatheads decking the poor red Robo. This exchange between them is like pouring gasoline on a fire. The two then agree to settle their differences on the racetrack. This is the first track that demands you finish in first. Seems like the training wheels are off, so let's get to it. I never noticed this, but this big spinning fiery fuel source has the shape of Eggman inside of it. How did he... Oh, never mind. I've neglected to talk about it until now, but there is a catch-up mechanic present in this game. Racers ahead of you will leave trails of turbulence all other racers can ride, consuming 0 fuel and automating your path forwards. You're even able to perform tricks inside of it, making the task of fuel management a breeze. Crazy how the catch-up mechanic makes fuel a non-issue, and the only way to stop people from following your turbulence is by expending a ton of fuel. This game's whole core design principle is fuel management. However, I have some issues with this catch-up mechanic. In theory, I believe this is a rather smartly designed system. You'll follow the optimal route of the first place racer who's unable to grab easy refills like the places behind them. In practice, however, I found the turbulence frequently got in my way. Not all the time, but particularly on corners, the turbulence would dump me off at a bad angle and cause me to fall into a pit, or I'd be attempting to take a turn and get my pathing thrown off by said turbulence. Also, if you fall super far behind, the turbulence doesn't last all that long, causing racers who are really struggling to never catch up. It's fine if you don't want to have catch-up mechanics in your own racing game, since people like racing in real life where there are no catch-up mechanics anyways, but it does affect this game's approachability. Having a more hardcore racing game isn't a problem, except when it comes to profits. I'm sure a middle ground could have been found with this formula, that didn't involve hopping into carts and basing the racing around items. Hell, I think they could have had items too. Guess we'll never know. As for specifics of Egg Factory, robots are along the path throughout the track to act as obstacles for all but power types. A long jump here gets you a small shortcut forwards, and this falling lava inconveniences all but power types, who can take the left path free of charge. The spinning fuel core has a path to the left that is faster, but getting bumped by the spinning bits can easily send you into a pit. It's usually worth going for every time, but don't try to force it if you can't. It's the first track with lots of sharp turns and hazards, so the first place requirement could be tough if you haven't gotten a grasp on the controls up until this point. Still, with enough trial and error, you should make it through. We catch back up with Sonic, who's getting a hang of the capabilities of his board. Jet ominously harasses Sonic from afar, like a Twitch chatter, backseat gaming.
Not very impressive for someone of your reputation. You know, I've checked you out, actually.
Hold up, Jet. What do you mean by that? Jet spouts a bunch of BS to Sonic because his ego is massive, and oh yeah, a delicious rivalry has just been brewed up. Sonic the Optimist takes some of Jet's goading to heart, acknowledging that he needs to take this competition seriously from now on. Wave's words are still haunting Tails, playing out again and again in his head. He's not feeling confident after being put on full blast like that, and seeing his shaken confidence is another thing I'm going to point at. Look, see? Sonic and friends should be more expressive like this rather than untouchable heroes. Seeing Shadow eat dirt in his expansion to Generations was required for continuity, but it was also great character building for him. More of this, please. Sonic is also such a great older brother. He can sense his shaken confidence and reassures his friend that he's alright. Tails mirrors Sonic's earlier seriousness, surprising him back. They share a nod, agreeing to both take it up a notch and win this competition. Green Cave's banger theme brings us to another difficulty spike I recall as a kid. There are plenty more pits to fall into here, and after failing to hit the accelerator rings, my pathing is messed up and I fall as proof of it. I proceed to do this twice, and I was positively fuming. Thankfully, I saved time on this final jump. Never mind. My backflip did not reach the webs above, I guess. The large turn is one of those places where turbulence can really muck you up if it suddenly ends, but the middle part has a long section of control stick wiggling to get your tanks back to full if you need to boost some more to keep pace. On the third lap, I get the proper high jump shortcut to the end, and the brief airtime above the tree line is just sick. Definitely one of my favorite levels, but I think I'm just a big sucker for songs that have people hooting and hollering all throughout it. All the green gets replaced with sand as we enter the final race of Eggman's Grand Prix. Amy's here, saying she will be his #1 cheerleader while he races. I appreciate her being relevant in the story here, as well as in the current day. Pay no mind to Tails tweaking out. Damn, guess flying so high up in the last race really scrambled his brains. All the finalists, Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, and Jet, ascend the staircase to pay their dues. Had they not until this point? Did they leave Eggman an IOU? Jet throws another crude line Sonic's way, which I find hilarious considering Jet's other two teammates got eliminated by two more competitors just behind him. In essence, it's 3-on-1, because any of Team Sonic winning the race means they get the emeralds, which is their goal from the beginning. Guess he's got just that much faith in his own ability, huh? Before we start this race, I want to briefly tell another story I had with this game. When I got to this part originally, I remember placing above Jet in second or something, with Tails having cut in front of me right at the end. It's one of the few times I can recall in my childhood memory of ludonarrative dissonance hitting me, because Tails won the Grand Prix. Isn't that good enough? As long as Jet doesn't win, who cares which of Team Sonic comes in first? At the very least, this is the first level that has all racers that aren't Green Egg Robos for once. The turbulence Tails leaves nearly takes me off the ledge if I hadn't hard veered left. I still wasn't at the point where I knew how to lock onto rails, so you will witness my failings for a smidge longer. This early section has a waterfall of sand that threatens to drag you into a pit if you don't keep the speed up. And if you've ever slowed down on these parts, you know the game won't hesitate to drag you to an early grave. If you manage to stick far enough to left and jump up, the 100 ring box is up top. Not so easy pickings, trust me. The jump after requires the long jump to reach the upper path, but I can't seem to consistently get up there. Oh well. The indoor portion has 3 layers, with the middle having moving pieces that I drop down from. One final hard turn brings us to these ballistas that fire us off, and the better you perform drawing back the string, the further it launches you towards your goal. On lap 3, I gun it for the end after running out of air like a fool after making one too many mistakes, and you move surprisingly quick off the board. Being off your board means you can't charge up jumps for tricks, which denies you entries to all shortcuts. Only power types can refuel in this state by bonking something, but ideally you never end up empty. You know, other than hitting the pit stop or hitting a sad trick. Before passing the finish line, the game cuts off prematurely? What's going on? Sonic and Jet are neck and neck in this cutscene, with Sonic leading to the stadium and the finish line. Jet's none too happy about this, but the Babylon Rogues have a trick up their sleeve. A nearby hiding wave pushes a button, and a detonator on the bottom of his board sends Sonic up in smoke just seconds before the finish. Jet then revels in his ill-gotten win and even rubs in this victory.
Ah, the dirt suits you so well.
What a hateable, punchable face he's got. Sonic's a much better sport than I would be, that's for sure. Jet then proceeds to hold up what would go on to be Ada's phone in Resident Evil 6, which causes both the emeralds and said cube to glow. The emeralds spin to life and surround Jet before moving to a higher fidelity cutscene. The cube pulses, then shoots out a beam of light into the wastes of the desert, causing the ground to erupt up. This is the Babylon Garden that's been submerged in the earth for ages. While everyone stares at it in awe, Eggman pulls a fast one and robs the thief of what's clearly some sort of key. Now it's been made clear. Eggman wants whatever treasure within the Babylon Gardens. Amy quickly springs to action, slyly grabbing onto Eggman's vehicle before they both fly off. Naturally, everyone else takes this as their cue to get their butts in gear. While Team Sonic uses their tornado, the Babylon Rogues fly up in their airship to confront Eggman. I don't know why, but it's oddly humorous to see Eggman riding along on his rinky-dinky bike. Where'd Amy go? Why travel on foot when he had a flying machine? Oh well, not important. Tails has cooked up a replacement gear for Sonic. Sonic, after a quick thanks, hops down in pursuit ahead of his friends, only to find Jet beside him once he lands. Jet insists that Sonic's getting in his way, and the two have an unofficial and proper rematch on these ancient grounds. The Babylon Gardens banging tune introduces us to the final stage, which, for some reason, has egg robots as other racers? I guess you could say they're trying to stop the two, but I think this would have been infinitely more epic if they had it be a 1v1. Maybe this could have been one of those tracks that isn't 3 laps in a loop, but segmented laps along one longer track like Mount Wario from Mario Kart 8. Or, since it's out now after the time of writing, everything in Mario Kart World. I think it would have really sold the sense of scale and enhanced that dual feeling. But that's not to say the track we have is bad. I just believe there could have been something better here. I can picture it in my mind with my special eyes. Here, my training arc begins. If the other levels were difficult, the final one of the hero story is maxed out. Considering I still hadn't discovered how to hit the rails right, there was many failures. This was the era of game manuals containing important chunks of the information needed to play these games properly. Game developers used to make their games without paying as much mind to the player's learning experience because of these manuals. Nowadays, it's almost flipped on its head. You can barely take a step into a new game before they're telling you how to play them. I will never say this era of game was necessarily better, but some middle ground between both styles would be my ideal. If you tell someone how to do everything, down to every minute little detail, there's never the satisfaction of self-discovery and learning on their own. Tangent time. School isn't enjoyable for so many because they're not allowed to learn at their own pace or on their own. You're told what to read, write, and do every minute of every day. In all likelihood, you won't enjoy most of what you learn. Everyone has a class they hate, but not everyone has a class they can say they loved. Having the choice to open that book and learn the information inside had a sense of autonomy to it. You could not read it and just go into the game blind, or you could read it and prepare yourself. You were given the choice. This, what I experienced here, was all me becoming frustrated and exploring my options. When I finally landed the rail grind, my confidence soared. I knew this run would be the successful one. Humongous turbulence guides us up into the storm clouds above, and after reaching the top, we catch a ride on what looks to be a fighter jet that was originally meant to fend us off. The road is actively being destroyed before us on this track, but a well-timed high jump grabs us the 100 ring box this track has, or it would have if I was slightly more to the right. Every sharp turn will lead to falling off if you don't take them correctly. Once you get the hang of it, the track itself isn't too difficult. Respect the turns, take the speed shortcuts to make your race a little easier, and show Jet you're the fastest thing alive, both on foot and on the board. After beating Jet on his home turf, it's his turn to take a face full of dirt. How's your ancestors' ashes taste, virgin? Sonic cuts Eggman's escapade short, stopping him right before the door. Unfortunately, he pulls out his pocket hostage, Amy. Sonic's not going to take this lying down though. Taking the move from Jet's book that knocked him on his behind at the beginning of the story, Sonic performs his own dive at Eggman. Technique stolen like a proper Uchiha Sonic. Instead of, going to catch Amy, who was also sent flying, he goes for the key Eggman was about to use. He returns it to Jet, but he's too busy being a sore loser to accept it. Wave, who's got no qualms with being an underhanded bird bitch, takes it, and the groups go their separate ways. Before Sonic can get too far though, aren't we forgetting someone? I think I'm just going to let this quarrel play out.
I think it's time to leave now. Tails?
Yeah. Sonic!
Amy?
How could you dive into Eggman knowing I was there?
Well, Amy, I thought it'd be okay with you, and,
Sonic! Come back here!
Sonic kind of had it coming. Obviously, that's not all there is to this story. The Babylon's perspective is unlocked after completing the hero's side, so let's see what they've got going on and get the fuller picture of Sonic Rider's story.
Here we go!
The Babylon rogues are chilling on their airship, with Jet staring at the key Eggman's after in his office. Editing WeebBear here. My special eyes picked up on something only in the middle of editing, and I needed to pay my compliments to the chef. The way the Babylon story picks up is well done, pun intended. The climax of the hero story is the Babylon ruins rising from the ground, but Jet's cube is never explained before the hero story's end. What better way to lead into the Babylon story than have the MacGuffin in question front and center from go? It's an amazing hook that draws your interest right back into the story. Back to WeebBear before the summer heat got atrociously bad. Storm bursts in during his moment of contemplation, sending Jet to the floor with a jolt. Wave then rounds the corner, badgering Storm for his bullheaded entrance. The three briefly have a discussion about Ada's cell phone, informing the two that it was something Jet inherited from his father. Jet, one of the few Sonic characters confirmed not to be an orphan. They exposit more plot, but Storm and Wave interrupt it all with sibling-level bickering. That's some nice characterization for the two. Jet, playing the part of an older brother breaking them up, gets the conversation back on track. Storm shares that they have a visitor he can't recall the name of. Now, just look at these two. That's some brother and sister behavior. Eggman steps into the room, and they get straight to business, but not before Eggman butters Jet up some. Jet waves him off, insisting Eggman get to the point. Eggman inquires about the key to the Babylon Garden, and Storm shows off his high school drama club level acting. Eggman plants the seeds to his plan, putting in Jet's head that he needs the Chaos Emeralds.
But have you seen this character before? He's called Sonic and said to be the fastest creature on Earth.
Seeing this, Eggman's definitely the type to talk crap about Sonic on social media. Night Chase is our first level, and we get to play out the opening cutscene of the hero story. Instead of getting brand new levels, We instead get a semi-encore mode of the pre-existing levels. The layouts are changed, but the music and general theme remain the same, just remixed. First jump is a long jump to reach the safer upper path. At the end of the hall, there's a sharp turn that you can circumvent if you jump at the moving arrows. The difficulty amps up with police rushing all down this road, and sometimes you'll be dumped off the top road right onto a police car. Great! As you can see, the second part of the stage is the same as its OG. If we do some math, we've seen 6 levels so far, so that means there are 12 total tracks. Add a bonus 3 plus a boss stage that doesn't really count, and you've got 15 tracks in this racing game. Considering 6 of the 14 reused level design, it's admittedly very light pickings. Each stage has tons going on compared to your average racing game, but I personally believe they needed 4 or 5 more to properly fill out the roster. After escaping Sonic, the game jumps ahead to Wave meeting Team Sonic, and we get some additional context to this scene. Wave's true thoughts reveal that she admires Tails' work, and this is the moment where she plants the bomb that she later detonates to prevent Sonic's win. It's now clear that her words insulting Tails were not only a blow to his confidence, but also to cover her tracks by implying the board is faulty in some way. That's quite crafty of her. I think that qualifies Wave as a girl boss.
Gaslight, gatekeep, girl boss, get out of my station.
Red Canyon shows us what happened to Amy. She was eliminated by Wave in this very race here. The first turn leads to an indoor section where you need to long jump to reach the upper path, but the flying shortcut on the lower path will also take you up top. The middle portion is mostly the same, but the flying shortcut is moved into some off-road here. It lets you skip the whole turn, so I take it every time if you can. The cave leads to a trick ramp where you ideally want to high jump. I've noticed every map has one long jump and one high jump opportunity. Neat. The 100 ring box is off to the left. For any of the ring boxes I missed, you know what? Go find them yourself. This video's long enough as is. I want to take some time to talk about Wave's design since there's not much going on in Red Canyon. If we view her in the light of a mirror to Tails, we can see she also has 2 dangling appendages as part of her silhouette. Both are resting their weight on one foot, but while Tails has some youthful optimism in his posing, Wave looks to be egotistically posing for a camera. Her eyes say, "Here's my best angle." Also, her hand is down, while his is up in a similar pose. This has to be intentional. Wave's another strong design visually that stands out amongst the crowd and gives Tails a good rival character. Moving forward, Storm's just been defeated by Knuckles in his own race and rushes in to apologize. Jet, floored by the surprise, makes some freaky noises.
Man, you really are worthless.
Wave proceeds to rub salt in the wound.
Accept it, buddy. It's not the board. Your skills just suck.
What? Suck?
Yes, S-U-C-K.
What the hell, man? Their bickering deserves to be listened to. Jet, positively fed up, gets their conversation back on track. He suspects Eggman may be hiding something, and he sends Storm to Eggman's headquarters to figure out what this something is. Storm heads on his merry way with his cartoony run, and his bumbling butt knocks a painting of what looks to be Jet's father down atop him. Ooh, he's got some anger issues. Ice Factory, ironically, is Eggman's secret base. Not the place named Egg Factory, no. I screwed up majorly on the first lap, which left me starting lap 2 in 8th. The beginning portion remains the same, changing up after a trick ramp with a high jump shortcut. The 100 rings capsule is around the same area as its eggy counterpart. Compared to Red Canyon, which felt more like a change of day, Ice Factory feels rather significantly changed while maintaining elements of its original. Fans can be busted by power types, and this is definitely the best of the 3 remixed maps so far. Knuckles and Storm don't have as much going on in terms of parallels that I can see. What I would like to draw attention to instead is how all 3 share flame iconography in their costuming. They all share flames up their arms, which makes me think that the flame tattoo is something all Babylon rogues get to show their loyalty. It's small, but builds up Sonic's world more just a smidge. Every detail on characters can be used to teach you about the world they're in, and even if the Babylon rogues aren't relevant in the main plot of the games anymore, it's easy enough to imagine they're still flying about in their airships somewhere. For the third time now, Jet's relaxation gets interrupted by someone. Maybe the dude's so agitated because of the company he keeps, you know? Wave, despite ragging on Storm all the time, is obviously concerned about him, just like siblings. You say you hate them all the time, but when they're hurt, you're concerned all the same. Wave tries to tell Jet that he's acting too childish for a leader, but Jet catches Sonic practicing and takes his opportunity to goad while Wave is too preoccupied yapping away. Seeing their softer, more playful interactions serves to remind us that they aren't villainous for the sake of being villains in this story, but they're more of a dysfunctional little family with pride. When Wave catches Jet skipping off, she groans and exits scene right, leading us to White Cave as Jet. Long jumping the first jump allows you to land on this rather small raised part of the track. Your reward is 3 power-ups, but is in competition for the least important upper route to reach. The path ahead has rocks that power types can bust up and leads to the huge buggies. That's all there really is for this level. It's shorter than most of the other tracks and is probably one of the weaker ones overall. Like Red Canyon, this stage feels too similar to Green Cave, leaving it unable to strike out on its own and leave much of an impression besides its stark white color scheme. However, it's only a poor offering in the sense of being unique in a game with a very limited stage lineup. It's simply not unique enough to be, 5% of the game? I know that's not the right number. Don't come at me in the comments. I will hurt you. Not much else to say about it. Storm returns from his venture to Eggman's base. What do you think he managed to grab from Eggman's lair? A conveniently written diary from Eggman expressing his true intentions and plans. Really? I'll just continue. The diary reveals that the treasure is the advanced technology of the Babylon rogues. I don't entirely understand the story of the boy who received an angel wing, but I'm sure it's referencing something. Maybe the ending? Jet prepares to leave, being disinterested in ruling the world or technology, but Wave insists that the technology does have value. An alarm for the race cuts his daydreaming short, and we're off to the races. Dark Desert takes place during an eclipse. Pretty cool. I don't know about the canonicity of the location during the events, but maybe Jet's still daydreaming. Nothing else. We trick into a split in the desert sands, coming to 3 trick ramps back to back. It's pretty easy to bounce left or right or fail a trick, and I feel as if I never got through this section unscathed. Perhaps the tricks are a bait? Turbulence in this specific portion, when tricked up, sends you to an upper path. I believe this is the first time the game is introducing this mechanic. Better late than never, I suppose. Probably the easiest 100 rings to snag. The indoor section has this trippy rotating effect that's much easier than its counterpart. After some tripping of balls, it's all unique until we loop back around for lap 2. I believe this is the way they intended you to take this, but there's no way this is faster than some other tech I'm unknowledgeable about. The speed shortcut halfway through massively simplifies your path through this level. It has to be cutting off at least 10% of the track's runtime by itself with automation. I gotta give props to only sharing a desert theme with the original and properly feeling like its own place near the original track. What more can you really ask for? The news sums up the cutscene from the hero story, and this scene serves as the revenge of the Egg Robos. Characters with this jaggedy teeth look are one of my personal favorite character design elements, so you love to see it. Sky Road is the Clear Skies alternate of the Babylon Gardens. It shares a lot in common with the original, but does it with purpose. The path forward is all bombed up in the stormy version, but there's no sky trip here. Seeing the map in multiple stages of destruction is a neat idea, and I'm not quite sure if this is just me getting better at the game over time, but the stage seems to be easier too. There's not too much more to this fluff race before the finish, So let's skip ahead to the conclusion of both stories. The three approach the door Eggman was attempting to open before he got blasted off, and they head on inside. The stunning beauty of the architecture inside wows the three, and after heading inside, Team Sonic can hear a loud noise coming from within.
What? Finally, something interesting.
Team Babylon enters further inside what looks to be an infinite space. Trippy. The door shuts behind them with a thud, but not before Team Sonic manages to slip inside as well. Now all trapped within, a large pink genie with feather-like hair atop their head, known as the Guardian, tries to prevent them from escaping. Our final boss then begins. The arena itself is incredibly basic, being two straightaways that make a long zero. There are few obstacles in your path, no rings to get, just you and the boss. Oh, and everyone else. This isn't a traditional race if you couldn't tell. Your goal is to boost into the Guardian's pot 3 times. What's much more interesting to talk about is the locale we are in. To me, it starts off looking like the Sonic world's interpretation of hell, or more specifically, the society's understanding of hell. This isn't actually hell, but a projection made by ancient Babylon technology meant to fool those who get trapped within. I couldn't possibly think of another explanation that makes sense. Remember the story of the boy who was gifted an angel wing? I believe that story was a falsehood, a mirage created by this chamber that confused a poet who spread the word of what he saw. It's either that, or the Babylon technology took on the appearance of a heavenly wing, since they could use religious beliefs against the population to guard the secret of their advanced technology. Even the Guardian themselves seems to spark when hit, like an electrical malfunction. The corners of the screens do too before the area shifts to unveil the ruse. Crazy that Sonic Riders canonically had virtual reality in their universe back in 2005. The laps will not progress unless you whap the boss. And the boss does technically attack, but it's so infrequent that you're not going to get hit by it if you know what you're doing. Hit the boss 3 times, and that's it. You don't even have to come in first, as Jet here doesn't hesitate to show at the last second. Thanks, Jet. When all's said and done and the day is won, the Guardian drops a rather large chest down for our heroes to open. Before they can claim their prize, however, he threatens to attack unless the group forfeits the treasure they rightfully won, and Sonic and Jet share a knowing smirk. Jet, without a care in the world, tosses a rolled up carpet over. When unfurled, a note drops that Eggman proceeds to read aloud for the group. The note indicates that the carpet is the treasure, the first prototype of the extreme gear. Eggman nerds out like a proper history nerd, but declares that he wasted his time in the end, and falls over, I guess? Wave further clarifies that the magic carpet is made of a material that they use for their extreme gears now. Jet brings out the key, and the magic carpet responds by taking flight. The Babylon rogues learn that they could be descendants from real genies, and we get a happily ever after scene. Everyone, overlooking the Babylon garden, talk about what they're going to do next. Jet says that the magic carpet had words of wisdom on it, encouraging that the rider use it to gather all treasure all around the world. Seems like they're going to live up to the legacy. Sonic and Jet promise each other that they better be ready for a race when they next meet, and they take off into the sunset in different directions after a quick game of chicken. I like this story. Its direction is a bit iffy at times, but remains fun throughout and makes plenty of sense to me. The characters get to have some goofy, non-serious fun, and the world feels like it has made a meaningful change without anything end-of-the-worldy happening. Having a different antagonistic force other than Eggman that's all throughout the plot is a welcome switch-up, and yeah, a perfectly satisfactory story. Plenty of unlocks remain, but besides gears you can buy from the shop, there is a mission mode that houses 3 more unlockable characters and 2 more stages to unlock. Beating both stories gave us this unlock, which is a more traditional race in the digital dimension space, I guess you want to call it. I don't know, man. The name just about confirms my theory about their technology being virtual reality, doesn't it? The race itself has a section that takes place in an angelic area, giving a little more plausibility to my theory. That'd normally be it for the video, but I want to briefly highlight a fan project that has been updating the original Sonic Riders with new characters and improvements. If you've thought of coming back to the game, try out Sonic Riders DX. Or is it known as Sonic Riders Future now? It's had a change in management from what I've read, but I didn't dig too deep. All I know is they're going to be adding Vector, Blaze, and one new racer sometime soon. I'm a humongous Vector fan, and I would be ecstatic to get to play as him in the original Sonic Riders. The future's looking bright, isn't it? You love to see it. I hope you enjoyed my video going over Sonic Riders as a whole. If you're still around, would you please subscribe and consider becoming a member of the channel? 1 tier, $3, and you get to see longer videos like this a day early. Nice and simple. Also, tell me in the comments below what you thought of Sonic Riders. I'd love to hear some more opinions on this original title. For now, WeebBear out.